Have you noticed your grocery bill creeping higher while certain shelves look suspiciously empty? This isn't a coincidence. Global food supplies are under siege. From climate disasters wiping out harvests to governments hoarding essential items behind the scenes, the warning signs are flashing in plain sight. The real question is, are you paying attention? Because if you wait too long, these 6 critical foods could disappear. And when that happens, it won't just be a matter of inconvenience. It will be survival. Right now, quiet but strategic moves are being made by governments, megacorporations, and even the ultra-wealthy. They're stockpiling, securing long-term reserves, and preparing for a reality most people aren't even aware of yet. They know something you don't. While the media distracts you with irrelevant noise, key food commodities are facing shortages, rising prices, and outright bans in some areas. When crisis strikes, whether from economic collapse, climate-induced crop failures, or supply chain breakdowns, the people who planned ahead will be the ones who eat. Food isn't just food anymore. It's power. And if you don't act now, you'll be left scrambling when these staples become unaffordable, rationed, or even unavailable altogether. Today, we're revealing 6 foods that you must stockpile immediately. Foods that are already being hoarded by the world's elites and will soon be out of reach for the average person. From crucial proteins to life-sustaining carbohydrates and irreplaceable nutrition sources, each of these foods is more than just a pantry staple. It's a survival asset. Pay attention, take notes, and move fast, because time is running out. Let's get into it. Number 6. Spices and herbs. Spices and herbs might seem like a small part of your grocery list, yet they pack a historical and economic punch that governments worldwide have never overlooked. If you look back centuries, entire empires rose and fell over the control of pepper, cinnamon, and clove roots, and modern-day shifts in climate and trade regulations suggest they may become scarce sooner than you think. Farmers in spice-rich regions like India and Southeast Asia are already feeling the squeeze of unpredictable rainfall and hotter temperatures, which directly affect crop yields. Pests and diseases are evolving faster than ever, and many farmers lack the resources to combat these threats effectively. This is why global entities aren't just paying attention, they're stockpiling. From black pepper to saffron, essential spices and herbs are stashed away in government reserves because of their medical, culinary, and trade value. In fact, saffron, often dubbed red gold, commands prices that can reach up to per kilogram, and ongoing geopolitical tensions in major saffron-producing countries could drive that even higher. Meanwhile, advanced technology like blockchain is being adopted to verify authenticity and quality, confirming just how critical spices have become in global markets. Beyond their eye-opening prices, the medicinal properties of spices and herbs put them high on priority lists. Oregano and thyme, for instance, are studied for compounds like carvacrol and thymol, which show promise against bacteria and viruses. Governments see these benefits as strategic assets. In a crisis, you don't just need calories, you need potential immune boosters. Small wonder that entire supply chains are regulated down to the last pinch. For your own household, think about the difference a few dried bay leaves or a sprinkle of turmeric can make when fresh foods become unavailable. Don't wait. Stock up now and store them in cool, dark places in sealed containers. Spices and herbs are vulnerable, yet incredibly valuable, and their disappearance would radically change both our diets and our health defenses. Number 5. Canned fish. Canned fish might be that overlooked staple sitting at the back of your pantry, but global authorities are warning that this protein-rich treasure could be the linchpin of emergency food supplies in the years to come. Overfishing, pollution, and shifting ocean temperatures have placed numerous marine species at risk, making consistent catches harder to guarantee. Once rich fishing grounds in parts of the Atlantic and Pacific are reporting a decline in population numbers of tuna and mackerel by as much as 30% over the past 2 decades. Adding to the complexity, the rising demand for canned fish in both developed and emerging economies means supply is stretched thinner every year. In response, governments are quietly stockpiling massive quantities because canned fish offers more than just convenience. It's a shelf-stable source of high-quality protein, omega-3 fatty acids, and essential nutrients like vitamin B12 and selenium. These nutrients are crucial for maintaining health under stress, whether that stress comes from natural disasters, pandemics, or political conflicts that disrupt food imports. Research even shows that diets rich in omega-3s may help reduce inflammation and bolster cognitive function, which could be critical in crisis scenarios. Sustainability certifications like the Marine Stewardship Council (MSC) label have emerged to encourage responsible fishing practices, but that doesn't solve the immediate concern of potential shortages. As climate change shifts ocean currents and breeding grounds, fish populations no longer remain where they used to, complicating efforts to fish responsibly. This is precisely why forward-thinking individuals and governments are loading up before the next big shortage hits. You should do the same. Look for canned fish in BPA-free packaging and consider varieties preserved in water or olive oil rather than heavy sauces laden with sodium. Canned sardines and mackerel are often cheaper and more sustainable compared to higher-demand species like tuna. Properly stored, these cans can last several years, providing peace of mind that you'll have a nutrient-packed meal option whenever fresh proteins are in short supply. Number 4. Honey. Honey isn't just a sweetener, it's a biological marvel that could very well become the next high-value commodity in uncertain times. The reason? Bees, the hard-working miracle workers behind every drop of honey, are under siege. Habitat destruction, pesticide overuse, and climate extremes have led to alarming colony collapse rates. In some areas, beekeepers report losing up to 40% of their hives annually. What does this mean for you? Aside from losing nature's best all-purpose sweetener, dwindling bee populations put pollination at risk for numerous crops, threatening the fruits, vegetables, and nuts we depend on daily. Governments are already paying attention to these issues, funding bee research and, yes, stockpiling honey. Not only does honey have an almost indefinite shelf life, it's been found in Egyptian tombs still edible after thousands of years, but it also boasts a suite of medicinal properties. Studies show raw honey can combat drug-resistant bacteria and assist in wound care due to compounds like hydrogen peroxide and methyl glyoxal. Manuka honey from New Zealand in particular is so potent that hospitals use it for stubborn infections, demonstrating how valuable this liquid gold can be in a health crisis. Climate volatility makes consistent honey production tricky. Bees rely on predictable flowering seasons and moderate weather, and any shift can result in lower yields or disrupted pollination cycles. This is why governments see honey as both a food security asset and a potential medicinal fallback. For you, that means it's wise to buy honey now before it becomes a wallet breaker, especially the more specialized kinds like Manuka. Look for raw, unprocessed honey from local producers if possible, supporting your regional beekeepers who play a crucial role in maintaining bee populations. Store it in a tightly sealed container, away from direct light, and you'll have a near-eternal sweetener that doubles as a first aid essential. When fresh sugar sources and medical supplies run low, you'll be glad you stocked up on this remarkable bee-crafted masterpiece. Number 3. Dried fruits. Dried fruits are more than just sweet, chewy snacks. They're a nutritional powerhouse with a shockingly long shelf life, making them a prime target for governments' quiet stockpiling efforts. Picture fresh fruit harvested at peak ripeness, then expertly dehydrated to lock in vitamins, minerals, and natural sugars for months or even years. That's why dried fruits are a staple in emergency reserves. They can withstand logistical delays, power outages, and harsh climate conditions without spoiling. But as the global food landscape shifts, the production of dried fruits faces mounting pressures. Climate instability is throwing historic weather patterns out the window. Droughts in California, for example, have squeezed raisin and prune producers, while Mediterranean orchards vital for figs and dates grapple with high temperatures and water scarcity. Farmers must adapt or risk losing entire harvests. On top of that, pests and fungal infections flourish in warm, humid environments, further threatening orchard-based crops. Yet there's another dimension to this looming scarcity: the skyrocketing demand fueled by health-conscious consumers. Studies show dried fruits often retain or even concentrate beneficial phytonutrients found in their fresh counterparts. Apricots are high in vitamin A, figs supply notable calcium and iron, and dates offer quick energy plus dietary fiber. These benefits make dried fruits indispensable for athletes, hikers, and anyone following a nutrient-dense diet. That growing demand means producers and exporters are facing relentless pressure to expand, sometimes at the expense of sustainability. In response, certain countries have begun placing export limits or imposing tariffs to keep enough supply for their own populations. Meanwhile, advanced preservation techniques like freeze-drying are on the rise, allowing more delicate fruits, like berries and tropical varieties, to enter the dried fruit market. All these elements combine to make dried fruits a strategic asset in a world grappling with climate change and unpredictable supply chains. If governments are hedging their bets by stockpiling raisins, figs, and dates, perhaps you should too. Storing them in airtight containers in a cool, dark spot is all it takes to ensure you'll have a sweet, nutrient-dense food source ready to go in any crisis scenario. Number 2. Nuts and seeds. Nuts and seeds might look small, but they hold colossal significance in global food security and personal nutrition. From almonds and walnuts to chia and flax seeds, these nutrient-dense foods are loaded with heart-healthy fats, protein, fiber, and essential micronutrients like magnesium and vitamin E. In fact, research published in reputable medical journals highlights how regularly consuming nuts and seeds can help lower cholesterol, regulate blood sugar, and even support cognitive function as we age. With plant-based diets surging in popularity, demand for these protein alternatives is going through the roof, yet the supply side is under siege. Extreme weather events, such as record-breaking heat waves in southern Europe or prolonged droughts in California, are crippling the orchard landscapes where many nuts originate. Simultaneously, monsoon irregularities in parts of Asia are threatening peanut and sesame harvests, underscoring the global nature of these vulnerabilities. Add to that the relentless assault by pests and diseases, like the varroa mite that disrupts bee populations needed for pollinating almond trees, and you have a precarious chain of events leading to potential shortfalls. Governments in major producing or consuming nations aren't waiting around. They're stockpiling because these items offer high-calorie, shelf-stable options perfect for emergency rations. Plus, the trade tensions you see in global news can lead to sudden tariffs and export restrictions, making these nutritional gems harder to import. As more people recognize nuts and seeds as a cornerstone for long-term health and crisis preparedness, prices could skyrocket. Consider macadamia nuts, which already fetch a premium in the market. Imagine if supply chain hiccups tighten that supply further. But there's good news if you act quickly. Many retail outlets offer bulk discounts, making it easier to build your own stash. Store them in the freezer or a dark, cool pantry to prolong freshness and prevent rancidity. Yes, these healthy fats can spoil if neglected. Whether you're blending seeds into smoothies or snacking on mixed nuts, don't underestimate how crucial they can be if supply lines get interrupted. Governments know this, and now you do too. Stock up before they vanish, or price tags soar beyond reach. Number 1. Coffee beans. Coffee beans are at the very heart of billions of morning routines worldwide. Yet most people don't realize just how precarious their favorite brew has become. This beloved crop is grown primarily in the so-called coffee belt, regions spanning Latin America, Africa, and Asia that rely heavily on consistent temperatures, predictable rainfall, and fertile soil. Climate change, however, is throwing these delicate balances into disarray. Excessive heat waves and erratic rainfall have reduced yields by up to 20% in some areas, and experts warn that suitable coffee-growing regions could shrink by half in the coming decades. Adding to the problem, pests like the coffee berry borer and diseases such as coffee leaf rust have adapted to warmer, more humid conditions, devastating entire plantations across Central America and beyond. Small-scale farmers, who produce roughly 70% of the world's coffee, bear the brunt of these hardships. Many can't afford costly pesticides or new crop varieties, forcing them to abandon their farms altogether. If production continues to drop, economists predict a ripple effect that will skyrocket coffee prices, making it a luxury rather than an everyday staple. Sensing the brewing crisis, governments and large corporations have started quietly stockpiling coffee beans to buffer against future shortages and price spikes. Yet coffee isn't just about morning comfort. Its global trade is valued at over $100 billion, and millions of livelihoods depend on it. For those preparing at home, stocking up on coffee beans, especially high-quality Arabica beans, is a strategy that could save both money and peace of mind. Look for reputable sourcing labels like Rainforest Alliance or Fair Trade to ensure farmers are paid fair wages and encouraged to adopt sustainable practices. Green coffee beans, stored in cool, dry conditions, can last for a year or longer before roasting, making them ideal for long-term preparedness. If you cherish your morning caffeine fix, now is the time to secure a personal reserve of this increasingly endangered daily essential. Thank you for watching.